Okay, y'all know I don't like the cold. And the weekend ended up having a lot of chill to the air, and it wasn't my thing. Although during the day it kind of warmed up pretty good, but the mornings when I had to get out, I wasn't pleased, the young woman. I wasn't pleased at all. But how you doing? Did you enjoy your Thanksgiving? I cooked Wednesday a little bit, not much. Cooked a little bit more on Thursday and hung out with friends over the weekend. Did church yesterday, was good. Actually, I did church uh, Thanksgiving morning as well. So trying to get it in, trying to show my gratefulness to God that I'm still here. There's a lot of people that are not. I am one of the ones that have been chosen so far to still be around and make an impact when I can. So today I have a new word, and I thought this word was pretty interesting because it's kind of new to Webster, Oxford, Cambridge dictionaries. It's called Cunfuddle. You know, uh, Got to say, what kind of word is that? Well, we're going to talk about it. We're going to get into it. But my hope is that we'll be able to use the word and understand its significance, and it does has to have to do with the fact that at times we get confused, and with that confusion comes a lot of other things, other things that make us feel uncomfortable about the position that we've been placed in. Sometimes we're in position because we place ourselves there. Other times people place us there, but because we don't know all the details, we end up being in the middle of a mess. So we're going to talk about confuddle, which is our word today. And I'm excited about it because, well, I get excited about all kinds of words, even the cuss words. I'm trying to really do better on finishing up my workbook, which deals with all kinds of words, including the bad ones. Um, and I have to put a disclaimer in the front of the book that said, for those who don't want to know those other words, stay off that section of the book. Or I might have a book that says I have a clean version and a not so clean version. But it just really talks about the fact that words are utilized for our purpose to be, angry, to be frustrated, to be happy, to be loved, whatever we're going through. There's some there's some words for it. So anyway, my little thing here says my poem, and it's written anonymously, and it says, today remind yourself that you can handle this, whatever this is. That's what it says. It says this, and know that you are going to be okay. I like it. No matter what, we're going to face some things that we're not used to. We've been made uncomfortable. We might feel, some place rejected, dejected, something. We might feel some anxiety that we're going through it, but nonetheless, still got to go through. On the other side of that go through is that we made it through, regardless of what it was. And then that's when I can truly say that I know when my thankfulness can be shown. So what is this word called confuddle? Confuddle is a verb that means to be a state of severe confusion, not a little bit of confusion. There is probably a lot of confusion. When we get severely confused, that means we didn't understand the directions, we don't know what we're doing, the information is not, clear to us as to the requirement, but yet and still we're in the middle of thinking that we're going to solve it. And I'm always ordering something from Amazon, and then you have to put it together. And sometimes I'm successful, sometimes not so good, not so good. But I'm getting ready to do a gig this coming Saturday to do a jazz session with some folks for a corporate business in the area, and so I'm real excited about that. I haven't done that before, so that's one of my new things I'm going to take on, and we're doing it downtown in the downtown area. So I'm looking forward to it, and we're doing it with a trio, and it's actually called Dr. Winnie and the Trio. And we're just going to go make some good holiday music, get people up a little bit, have them participate with some Christmas songs, some carols or whatever. So I'm excited about that. But I'm not going through that period of confuddleness. I'm going to be clear on what it is that I plan to do, and I've already started rehearsing. So I hope to be present in those moments, that hour and a half, 2 hour period, that I'm going to do a great job. So confuddle, as I said, is the verb that means to be in a state of severe confusion to the point that essential functions like talking are difficult. Like even talking about something becomes difficult. And it says confuddle also talks about there being confusion, bewilderment, being baffled, perplexed. It says embarrassed and confounded. We have a tendency to try to downplay when we're being played by whatever the circumstances are that we're in, and we try to get out of it, and eventually, as I said, like the poem says, eventually we're still going to get out of it. We're still going to be okay, but we might go through some anxiety, and our stomachs might be bothering us, our heads, and it may even bring welted tears to our eyes. Tears to our eyes, but nonetheless, we're going to go through it. So when we talk about this word, confuddle, we have to talk about my first C being confusion. The lack of understanding. When we don't understand something, we are confused. When there's a project being undertaken and everyone's doing something different without working from the same, instructions, the same vantage point, the same level of understanding. Even if you have to get people up to a level, fine, take the time and do it. But don't have it where this group really knows and this group doesn't know. And even with watching, then it's too difficult to learn. I have always enjoyed being a student of just I'm a visual person, so I can watch you do something and mimic it. And I also will take my own notes. So you say something, I'm going to take some notes. In fact, I went to a meeting probably about 3 weeks ago now, and the meeting was just so interesting because they were talking about money and what to do with it, and the importance of making sure that you look at, how much you're going to, if you're going to save, what type of savings is the best savings to do. If you're going to do an IRA, if you're going to do a CD, as they had all this information. I just thought it was interesting. So I had notes when I left. And so everybody asked me, what are you writing? We're not writing anything. I said, because I might need this information. Sometimes information that you might hear, just because you might be in the presence of someone who's giving it, doesn't mean it's not worthy to be written down. Sometimes that's the best information. The best. So I'm going to try not to be confused. So I have confusion as being my first use of the C in confuddle. Lack of understanding, which brings on uncertainty, unsureness, hesitation, skepticism, doubt, let's see, and incertitude, and to hesitate. That's what we get when we're really working in an area that we do not know. We are confused. We know confusion. And confusion has a tendency to turn people away from staying involved or even getting involved. Next time somebody come and ask you, say, nope, I'm going to let that go. Thank you so much for asking. You give them a nice reply, but you've done your battlefield orientation, and you don't want to do it again. So that means that the circumstances have to improve, meaning you need more information, you need more people to be available, and all having that understanding of what is important. When we move on in our word of Cunfuddle, we talk about being uncertain. Uncertain. That means basically me, if I'm learning something and I don't know it, I'm going to ask more questions. I'm going to take notes. And if I'm still having trouble, I'm going to ask you again. Yes, I will. I'm sorry. I'm going to ask you again. What is it that I need to know? And how come I'm not making this click? It has to click in my brain. And it says uncertain. It says that the person is not completely confident or sure of something, And so sometimes even if you're in a position to be the leader, an instructor, or the developer, the creator, if you want people to come on board with you, you have to be able to get the information to them so that they can understand it and carry out what is needed in order to do the assignment. And a lot of times I would working with other educators, it's like the devil is always in the details. You have to let people know all the steps that they need to take, and then give it to them in order so that they understand that there's no reason to be confused if they're given right. And there's no reason to have uncertainty if you continue to tell them. When you get stuck, just ask a question, because people realize that you're willing to teach them. You're willing to share with them what it is that they need more understanding to get. So when uncertain also talks about unsure, doubtful. There's that word again, doubtful. Let's see, hesitant, wavering, vacillating, meaning I think I know, I don't know, maybe I know. That's vacillating. Vague, hazy, unclear, iffy, and tentative. When I am working with other people, I want to make sure they get it. I want you to get what it is that I'm talking about, or get what it is that the project is all about, so that you not only have a working understanding of what needs to be done, but also a personal understanding, meaning that you can invest in it. You can come on in on it because you know what you're doing. My N, as I move on in the word Cunfuddle, is naivete. A naivete, T-E, says the quality of being naive, the lack of experience, wisdom, and judgment. You can't expect people to judge on anything if they don't know it. Can't. You can't expect people to be able to be, good participants if they don't understand all the requirements of what is being requested of them. And a lot of times we will give people stuff and we barely know it, and then we confuse them on what they are to know. So we have to be very careful. So when we talk about the judgment and the wisdom and experience, when we're naive, there's inexperience, there's callousness, there's a childish, because sometimes that when we are being taught something, we can easily revert back to them being the adult and us being the child. And so there becomes that, not an agitation, because in some people, they don't ever want to be treated like children. But sometimes that's the way children learn. They have to learn from the ground up. And so if you're teaching something that is hard to learn, difficult to understand, then sometimes you have to take them down to baby steps. These are the parts that we're using. This is how long it's going to take for this to work, or whatever. You're going to give people something that they understand. And it says immaturity when we're naive, and also simplicity. So if we make it simple, that means more people will get it. And then you can add the complexity to it, or the more detailed information as you move along. But you always have to make sure that the step people are on is the step that they know. Don't have them be on a step that they don't understand. You want to make sure that gradually, as they go up, they get it. They get it. When we move further on in our word of Cunfuddle, my F is for flustered. I believe people get flustered when they're dealing with something that they cannot handle, do not know, do not understand, and they need assistance with. So flustered talks about how they can get agitated, come on now, and confused. They become irrational, upset. It says they become aggravated and agitated, non-pleased, distressed, disturbed, and sometimes they may be a little jumpy about it. It's like, okay, I don't understand this, and here we are. I'll give you an example. One time I was working with some people in New York for the New York State Department of Transportation, and I would put training hours or hours in contracts that had federal funds, because the federal funds at that time, I'm quite sure that that a lot of this stuff has kind of been dismantled or certainly voted out of necessity or demand, and ultimately, they're no longer there. But at one time, 51% ownership of businesses that were either female or minority owned had to be that they showed the proof of that, and therefore they had to also, on the large contracts like the West Side Highway or the Long Island Expressway, whatever the roads were that were being built at that time or worked on at that time, they had to have training dollars in it, meaning that there would be so many positions that would go to women and so many positions that would go to minorities. And it didn't talk about, just being Black. It could be Indian, it could be Asian, it could be whomever. So that's what I used to do. And sometimes when I would do my briefings to these huge agencies that owned, they were companies. They had, 50, $50 million in just doing nothing but roads. So they were huge companies or huge construction companies, and everyone knew them at the time. I'm quite sure they're still well known up there, but they would get frustrated with me and flustered with me because I had to put these things on them. And I said, well, this is what the law says. Well, since those laws have certainly been broken down now, they certainly have changed, but you can understand how they would become irrational at times with me, upset, agitated, aggravated, non-pleased with who I was. And then I would go out and do what they called an audit, an on-site audit. And there would be a federal agent and a state agent. I was the state, and then we had a federal person that came. And we would do an on-site audit to find, well, show me your documentation to show that you've done this and that. Show me whatever. And oh my God, they would be borderline yelling. And I'm not a big woman, so I would just be looking up at them like, wow. And I would always just get up and say, yes, but it's still a requirement. The government still requires this of you. So I'm quite sure there's been a lot of relief since that's done over with now. Next thing under the word Cunfuddle, that was my F. So far we have confusion, uncertainty, or uncertain, naivete, flustered, unsettling. And unsettling is when people have a lack of stability. They don't feel stable in doing what's been required of them to do. And it says they feel that sometimes things are aimless, directionless. They don't, they've not been given enough information, or they don't understand the information on what to do. It says also purposeless wandering. I don't want to wander through anything, but sometimes we do have to in order for us to figure out how to do it. It also says that there's an attempt to move or a requirement to move, but we can't because we don't know how. Okay. And then it says that we become nomadic. I mean, basically, we're like wandering in the wilderness. We don't know what to do. We don't know how to do it. And the people in charge of giving us that information have fallen short on what it is that we need. And a lot of times we are in those positions a very long time. And yet and still we struggle to get anything done. We struggle. Next thing, my next word I have for my D of Cunfuddle. My first D is for disturbed. I have a tendency to know that I will get disturbed when things don't go the way they're supposed to go. So disturbed means having had its normal pattern or function disrupted. And I'm quite sure, you've been through some stuff, maybe even over the holidays, there's a period of disruption for you when somebody didn't bring something, or they showed up and you didn't know they were coming, or whatever, those things there. We have that level of uncomfortableness that can come on us, and it's not generated by us intentionally, but it's something that we react to. So being disturbed is a reaction. It's a reaction that something's not right. You're uncomfortable. So it says that you could be broken, disrupted, disconnected, interrupted, or fitful. Meaning you ready to just like throw a fit like a child, because you feel you're left out there. You don't know how to gather your thoughts or how to interpret what it is to do. And let's face it, the holidays do that. If you haven't gone through it yet, you probably will before the next holiday comes, because we still have Christmas and New Year's, and so there's a lot of time for some confusion, and for the period of time for you to be disturbed in your desire not to face being confuddled. But confuddled is just that. It does that to you. My next D of confuddled is doubt. Doubt. I don't want to be doubtful about anything that I'm working on, especially if it has, what I would say, repercussions or tentacles that reach other people, where what I'm doing is affected by what somebody else can do after I finish or while I'm still doing it. So therefore, I don't want to cause doubt. And it says doubt is a feeling of uncertainty or lack of conviction. And it says uncertainty is just that form of how it may get, like, to me, like being disturbed. It just gets in us. We know when we're doubting ourselves or others doubt us. Let's face it. Sometimes we are doubtful as to what others say they're going to do or how they're doing it. Plain and simple. Good morning, Cheryl. How are you? Drama. Okay, I like that. Drama is good. Drama is very, very good. Sometimes we are dramatic, especially around this time of year. When I found this word confuddle, because I tell you it's new to the dictionary, that's true. It is one of those kind of words that just says something, says a negative with in a position of trying to get to a positive. The negative is there because there's confusion, there's being disturbed, there's doubt. Good morning, Miss Rosie. How are you? Happy belated Thanksgiving. You too, Cheryl, but I saw you. Hey, Ardelia, greetings from Dumfries, Virginia. Oh, wow. Oh, wonderful. You're playing rehab nurse to my daughter. Wonderful. Tell her I said happy holidays. And then she got somebody wonderful to work with her and work for. Oh, I love it. I love it. My daughter's here, but I have to be in a position to need her. She just doesn't drop in because she says, Mom, you're too busy. Sometimes I am, sometimes. But anyway, getting back to our word confuddle, and I'm going to say it again, confuddle really talks about it's a verb that's a state of severe confusion. And sometimes the holidays, they cause it. They just come with it. We don't know why, but it comes with it. And we have doubt. So far, I said we have confusion, uncertainty, naivete. We're flustered. We're unsettling. We're disturbed. Okay, I just finished disturbed. Now I'm on doubt. And doubt talks about a feeling of uncertainty or lack of conviction. It says uncertainty, and it says it's when it's an indecision. When you can't make a decision about what it is that you don't know how to do. Do you stop? Do you ask other people? What do you do? What do you do? I will stop and ask other people, especially if it's the person's there that told me what I was doing. And if it affects my bottom line, which is my dollar amount, then I need to know. I need to know, because I don't need to be, in a position that's really either one, not going to pay me for what I didn't complete, but we have to start with what I know and what did you really tell me about what I need to know. So those are what I would work on. So anyway, the doubt talks about uncertainty, indecision, hesitation, suspension, meaning we're just out there, and confusion. You know, we don't need to be confused during this time of year. We need to be in a position as much as we can of the know. We need to know what we need to know. And if we don't know it, we need to say so. My L in the Cunfuddle is limited. We have to realize when we are in a state of being confuddled, it says we are restricted in our size, our amount, or our extent. We're fewer in our or less in our understanding, small in terms of our thoughts, and short in terms of our ability. Period. When you are in something with someone and you don't know it, sometimes you can learn well on the job because the tasks are easy. Other times, not so. Not so. But limited talks about being restricted. Sometimes we've been restricted because they didn't give us enough information on how we're to complete a certain thing. The other times is when we ourselves have restricted ourselves because we don't know enough. We don't know enough. We don't want to make it worse. So limited talks about being bounded, having little ability because we don't know enough, being narrow in terms of our scope of understanding. We're leaning kind of to go away from what it is that we're doing because we're afraid to do anything, having poor knowledge, scant in terms of our information, and we feel that it's been insufficient in terms of our ability. You can't contribute to anything that you don't understand. Even I make it easy here. I give you a lot of information and you can come in where you want to come in. And I'm always pleased no matter what you all say. But I love the fact that this word really gives us a new word. And so just saying I'm confused, you can say confuddled. I am confuddled about this. And my last letter, I always go, my last letter is embarrassment. Cunfuddle ends with an E. And Cunfuddle isn't C-O-N, it's C-U-N. C-U-N-D-D-L-E. Cunfuddle. Cunfuddle. My E is embarrassment. I don't think anybody wants to be embarrassed at any project that you're undertaking. I always used to work with people who would give me part of the information and not all of it. So the part that I didn't know, I would have to figure out on myself and then go back to them and say, well, so is this and this and this? And they'd say, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you that. That it happens. It happens. So sometimes it says embarrassment is the feeling of self-consciousness. All of a sudden, we put the focus on ourselves and not on who misguided us or didn't lead us enough. And it says we bring shame to ourselves, and then there's an awkwardness as to what we're to do. And embarrassment comes, and I think around the holidays, there's a lot of opportunity for people to say what you didn't do, say what you did do, but only you can say what you actually did. Only you. But let's face it, that's life. But embarrassment, talks about just really realizing that you have gotten to a point where you feel shame. You feel your own disgust. You feel your own failure. You feel your own inability. All those things pretty much speak to the fact that we're frustrated. We're confused, we're distressed, and we feeling that everyone's looking at us like you fell short. Sometimes we do fall short, but it not always is it our fault, even though we may be the face of it. I've worked with people before where they don't act like it was them. even though they know they didn't do what they were supposed to do. So everything fell apart after that. And they never tell you that, they never tell anyone that they messed up, which caused you to look bad or caused you to be in a position of embarrassment. So, anyway, to be confuddled is really just saying, hey, look, I'm just confused, severely confused. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. You didn't give me enough information. I need some more. I need your help. What do I do? You know, I'm not too proud to not ask you what I need to do. You'll always get it from me. I'm going to ask you. So what am I supposed to be doing? Okay. I don't understand. I understand that. I don't understand this part. How does this tie into that? Sometimes we have to be our own protectors of our feelings. And, to be confused is one thing, but to continue to work in confusion, that's another thing. I'm not going to do it. I'm telling you, don't do it. Don't do it. It's not right. If there's something you don't know or something you can't do, say you need to get somebody else to do this. I can't do this. Be honest. Don't continue to act like you're working on it and you're not. When it's not yours, give it to somebody else. Okay? Give it to someone else. Cunfuddle. 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 Cun. But every time I would go and try to plug it in into my Google would write CON. And I said, and I would keep going back in and trying to put CUN. That's because it's a new word to the dictionaries that are out there. And they're trying to just let people know that there is a word that speaks to our severe confusion. But listen, I'm not confused about you all. Love you guys dearly. Appreciate the fact that y'all hang in there with me. I'll be back on Wednesday. I'm trying to, in the month of December, maybe just do Monday, Wednesdays, because I end up doing a lot of, fun. And, well, they're not all fun, but some working events outside of being at my table here. But I want to make sure that you know that wherever I'm at, I believe in you all. I'm excited that y'all hang in there with me and that we're going to have some fun. And 25, can you believe it? It just seemed like this year just came in, but it's gone. 3.5, 4 weeks. 4 weeks gone. We'll be doing something else, after Christmas, after New Year's, resolutions and all that kind of stuff. And I always tell people resolutions are good if you work them, but if you don't work them, severe confusion. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, don't have a confuddle day, okay? Have a great day. Have a day filled with love and kindness and sharing of yourself if you want to do that. Maybe just rest. Some people probably really put in, quarterback hours trying to make sure you got the football over the poles. So I say, do you rest if you need to. I will be back on Wednesday with another word. If you don't do anything else, just hit share. Hit share and let people know that, yes, I am out here. In fact, last week I looked and I think I had 6 shares. So thank you. I appreciate it. No money required here, but I'm going to say thank you and I appreciate you. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. See you on Wednesday. You do your best work up there, girl. Be safe, everybody. Love you guys. Bye-bye.